They distort. We dissect. They distract. We investigate. Japan Journal with Mal Adams. Facts. Courage. No apologies.
The air buzzed with tension as Mal Adams stepped into the bright Tokyo venue. Mal's voice cut through the noise as he asked his first question, the room holding its breath. Mal pressed on, his determination unwavering despite evasive answers. Chilling final words left an eerie silence as the press conference came to an abrupt end. Alone with his thoughts, Mal grappled with the weight of the unanswered questions.
Stay tapped into this edition of Japan Journal with Mal Adams for the answers you seek in the top stories of the day. You'll be glad you did.
From GNN, the global news network, a division of Totown Communications Company Japan. Japan Journal. With Mal Adams. A Black Buddha Productions joint of Japan. And now, your host, Malcolm W. Adams.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Japan Journal with Mal Adams. The Epstein Nexus, Sex, Power, and Spies. Real news, global reach, and liberation truth. The spider in the shadows. This is Brother Malcolm reporting from the cyber front lines of Japan Journal, where black truth meets the global web of deceit. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just a billionaire financier with an appetite for corruption. He was a master manipulator in the shadows of global power. While most media outlets focus on the salacious details of his sex crimes, we here at Japan Journal are asking the deeper question: who was Epstein really working for? His relationships with U.S. presidents, royals, corporate giants, and global intelligence agencies suggest something far more sinister. A man embedded at the very heart of a blackmail machine engineered, many allege, by a foreign intelligence service like Mossad. In this special edition tonight, we dissect the murky connections between Epstein, the Trump administration, and Israeli intelligence. We also examine why Attorney General Bill Barr rushed to declare Epstein's death a suicide, and what insiders like Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi are now revealing or dodging. Fasten your seatbelts, people. This one cuts deep into the machinery of empire. Stay tapped in. Japan Journal coming up.
Japan Journal with Mal Adams. Facts. Courage. No apologies.
All right, folks, let's get this investigative report started. Segment number one, I entitled Epstein's Rise, the Ghost with No Resume. Check this out. Jeffrey Epstein burst into Wall Street in the 1980s with no verifiable college degree, no licenses, and no real paper trail. And yet, within a decade, he was managing billion-dollar accounts and rubbing shoulders with the most powerful men in America. His early benefactor, Leslie Wexner, CEO of L Brands and owner of Victoria's Secret, granted Epstein total control over his financial empire. But why? Was Epstein that talented, or was there another reason this mysterious man with no clear credentials suddenly became a trusted advisor to billionaires? Analysts now believe Epstein may have been operating a sophisticated honey trap operation, videotaping high-level figures in compromising situations to wield influence on behalf of foreign or domestic intelligence interests. Let's talk about the Israeli connection, Mossad's fingerprints. As a matter of fact, do you really know who this guy, Leslie Wexner, is? Well, I just happened to have Googled it right here. Let me see what we got. Leslie Wexner. There we go. I'm going to need my glasses for this one. The Wall Street Journal Story alleging President Donald Trump signed a lewd birthday card addressed to deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein contains the same allegations about L Brands founder and New Albany billionaire Leslie Wexner. Wexner, the prominent Ohio State University alumnus and donor, was a former business associate of Epstein and is now Ohio's richest person with an estimated worth of 10 billion US dollars. Epstein, who died by suicide while in prison in 2019, allegedly ran a sex trafficking ring that trafficked underage girls to rich people. Now, the Wall Street Journal alleges both Trump and Wexner, along with dozens of other people, wrote birthday cards to Epstein on his 50th birthday that were compiled together in a book. Both Trump and Wexner allegedly wrote notes to Epstein and drew naked photos of women. The newspaper wrote, quote, among those who submitted letters were billionaire Leslie Wexner. Epstein was Wexner's money manager at the time. The longtime leader of Victoria's Secret wrote a short message that said, quote, I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is, quote. After the text was a line drawing of what appeared to be a woman's breasts. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. So his early benefactor, Wexner, CEO of L Brands and the owner of Victoria's Secret, granted Epstein total control over his financial empire. But why? Was he that talented? Was there another reason this mysterious man with no clear credentials suddenly became a trusted advisor to billionaires? Well, as I mentioned, analysts believe that Epstein may have been operating a sophisticated honey trap. So let's talk about the Israeli connection. Many intelligence experts now argue Epstein was a cutout, a non-official asset used by Mossad, Israel's national intelligence agency, to entrap global elites. In espionage lingo, Epstein's homes, rigged with hidden cameras and staffed with vulnerable underage girls, functioned as compromise sites. Targets were lured, recorded, and blackmailed. One of Epstein's closest allies, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, a known Israeli intelligence asset, had a mysterious death at sea, which only deepened the intrigue. Several former Mossad agents and Israeli insiders have publicly alleged that Epstein's network bore a striking resemblance to traditional Mossad blackmail operations. While Israel officially denies any involvement, the structure, purpose, and timing of Epstein's operations suggests otherwise. Trump and Epstein. Trump said he likes them young. Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were close acquaintances for decades. Trump once said, quote, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. It's even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Photographs and flight logs confirm Trump's presence at Epstein's parties and properties, including Mar-a-Lago. Former employee Maria Farmer alleged she was recruited at a Mar-a-Lago event and later abused by Epstein and Maxwell, implicating Trump's club as a recruitment ground. Despite later political distancing, the two shared more than a casual friendship. Epstein reportedly helped Trump with financial introductions during his 1990s bankruptcy era. The details of that remain hidden behind sealed documents and NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Pam Bondi, deflection in the service of power. Pam Bondi, former Florida Attorney General and now a pro-Trump media surrogate, has often deflected questions about Trump's ties to Epstein. In a recent transcript analyzed by Japan Journal, Bondi responded to a reporter's inquiry by redirecting blame to Epstein's Democratic ties, brushing off Trump's relationship as ancient history. But what she didn't say was even more telling. No denial, no condemnation, just diversion. Bondi's role in shaping Florida's lenient prosecution of Epstein in 2008, along with then U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, is part of a larger pattern of institutional protection. Who was being protected and why? Let's talk about Acosta's strange comment. Quote, intelligence told me to back off. Well, Alex Acosta, Trump's former labor secretary, famously approved Epstein's sweetheart plea deal in 2008. Years later, when asked why he had gone so soft, Acosta reportedly told Trump transition officials, quote, I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. This statement, unearthed during vetting for the Trump cabinet, was a bombshell, but quickly buried by the media. If true, it implies that high-level U.S. prosecutors were knowingly protecting an intelligence asset. Was Epstein too valuable to imprison because he was working with or for American or Israeli intelligence? Was the U.S. government complicit in his crimes, seeing them as collateral in the war of secrets? Let's talk about the island, a blackmail operations center. Epstein's private little St. James Island wasn't just a place of pleasure, it was a fortress of surveillance. Hidden cameras were embedded in walls. Flight logs show dozens of high-profile visitors, many with no public reason to be there. Victims and staff have testified that rooms were wired for audio and video. This wasn't about lust, it was about leverage. If you had compromising footage of a prince, a senator, or a CEO, you could dictate policy, deals, in silence. That's how blackmail becomes diplomacy and how intelligence agencies manipulate the world order without firing a single bullet. The suicide that wasn't, cover-up or assassination. When Epstein was found dead in his cell in August 2019, the official story of suicide raised immediate skepticism. Both security cameras malfunctioned. Guards fell asleep. The prison had never had a suicide of this kind in its history. Dr. Michael Baden, a former NYC medical examiner, publicly stated that the injuries were more consistent with strangulation than hanging. His hyoid, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, shoid bone was broken, an injury rarely seen in hangings but common in manual strangulation. If Epstein was killed, it was to silence him. By whom? Who feared what he might say? The Ghislaine factor, her trial, their secret. Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction should have opened floodgates of evidence, but the trial was carefully limited. No photos, no witness lists made public, no client's name. If Epstein's web was real, Maxwell knew everything and every string. Yet, her sentencing included no discussion of the people she allegedly trafficked these girls to. This selective justice isn't justice, it's control. A firewall erected not to protect the victims, but to protect the clients. Intelligence agencies and pedophilia, a global pattern. Intelligence agencies have historically used sexual blackmail as leverage, from M16's Profumo affair to the CIA's Cold War tactics. The use of sex for espionage is a documented strategy. Now, what makes Epstein different is scale and audacity. His operations went unchecked for decades. He wasn't hiding, he was operating in full view, protected by elites. When power protects predators for information gain, the line between justice and geopolitics vanishes. And then there's the media collusion. Who killed the story? ABC journalist Amy Robach was caught on a hot mic saying, quote, we had the Epstein story 3 years ago. We had Clinton, we had everything. But the network killed the story, allegedly under pressure. Corporate media, often owned by conglomerates with ties to power, chose silence instead of investigative journalism. We got tabloid crumbs. Epstein's story isn't just about sex trafficking. It's about institutional rot and cowardice in the Fourth Estate. Now, the Trump question. Who knew what and when? You see, Donald Trump claims he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after a complaint, but records show their association continued long after. During his presidency, Trump appointed people who protected Epstein. He refused to comment on Ghislaine Maxwell's guilt, but wished her well in public. Was he shielding an old friend or avoiding exposure? With Epstein dead, Maxwell silent, and records sealed, the truth remains deliberately buried. I might actually mention now that the pressure is on among his MAGA supporters now. There's a division, there's a wall being built, and they're fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. I gotta add that. So from my perspective, from our perspective, my dear brothers and sisters, let's talk about the Black liberation perspective, power, predators, and the people. Epstein's tale is not only a white-collar crime story, it is about how unaccountable power operates through blackmail, betrayal, and manipulation. As Black liberationists, we might ask, if such a global criminal enterprise can flourish under the cover of intelligence, what hope is there for poor people seeking justice? If billionaires can rape children with impunity while being protected by presidents and spies, what kind of world is this? We fight not just for justice in the streets, but for truth in the shadows, y'all. And as Malcolm X said, quote, the media is the most powerful entity on earth because it controls the minds of the masses. So in closing, I give you this summary and call to action. This is your brother Malcolm signing off from Japan Journal, where truth outruns silence. Jeffrey Epstein's story is not finished, y'all. It is censored, buried, but we must exhume it. The allegations that Epstein worked for Mossad or other intelligence agencies are not conspiracy, they are geopolitical chess. The unanswered questions are too many and the silence too loud. We urge you, our viewers, to demand public release of sealed records, independent investigations into intelligence involvement, and transparency from media networks that killed the truth. And to our people, especially the young, know this: liberation comes not only from protest, but from knowing who runs the game and how. I want y'all to stay woke, stay informed, and stay free. Why don't you? All right. This is Japan Journal with Mal Adams, the Epstein Nexus, Sex, Power, and Spies. Real news, global reach, and liberation truth. Stay tapped into this platform for more. Coming up soon on our Substack platform, as well as our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Be blessed.
Japan Journal with Mal Adams. Facts, courage, no apologies.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this week's edition of Japan Journal. After viewing this story again, I came up with a postscript of sorts entitled The Power Behind the Power. Quote, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's from Ephesians 6 chapter 12th verse. But let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Amos 5th chapter 24th verse. The Epstein narrative is not simply about one man's crimes, it is about the hidden forces that shape our world. This story reveals a truth that many fear to acknowledge. The people who appear to hold power, politicians, prosecutors, media executives, are often not the true decision makers. Behind them stands an invisible network of intelligence operatives, billionaires, and global strategists who use secrecy, deception, and corruption to maintain control. As I mentioned, Ephesians 6 chapter 12 verse reminds us that the real battle is not against flesh and blood, but against systems and structures of evil, principalities and powers that thrive in the shadows. Epstein was a pawn in a larger game. His trafficking network, his blackmail operations, and even his mysterious death served interests bigger than himself. The machinery that created him still exists, feeding off the silence of those who fear to challenge it. To my brothers and sisters in Black America and to all who love truth, freedom, and justice, do not be deceived by the little masks of power. The same hidden hands that protected Epstein are the hands that manipulate our media, shape our laws, and silence the voices of the oppressed. We must rise to expose their lies and build systems of truth-telling that cannot be bought or silenced. As Amos thundered, let justice roll down like waters. Well, justice will not roll on its own. We must push it forward with our voices, our unity, and our fearless pursuit of truth. Journalism is not just reporting. It is an act of defiance against the machinery of deceit. Our duty as freedom-loving people is to demand transparency, protect the vulnerable, and hold every liar accountable, no matter how high their pedestal. So here then is a 10-point action plan for truth and liberation, if I may. Number 1, unseal the records. Demand the immediate release of all Epstein-related court files, flight logs, and intelligence documents. No redactions, no excuses. Number 2, name the networks. Investigate and expose the entire network of politicians, financiers, and operatives who enable Epstein. Name them publicly. Number 3, support independent media. Fund and follow independent Black-led community-driven journalism like Japan Journal and projects that prioritize truth over access. Number 4, protect whistleblowers. Establish grassroots legal and financial defense funds for whistleblowers, survivors, and journalists targeted for telling the truth. Number 5, teach media literacy. Launch educational programs in schools, churches, mosques, and barbershops to train people to spot disinformation and challenge propaganda. Number 6, expose corporate media complicity. Hold networks and publishers accountable for suppressing or killing stories that involve powerful elites. Number 7, build a people's archive. Create digital archives documenting Epstein's network, combining survivor testimonies, investigative journalism, and open source intelligence. Number 8 is organize boycotts. Boycott companies, media outlets, and institutions that actively shield the powerful from scrutiny. 9, spiritual resistance. Use spiritual discipline, prayer, study, and collective reflection as both shield and sword against moral corruption. And finally, global solidarity, as I report to you from the diaspora of Japan. I urge you to build alliances with truth-tellers worldwide, recognizing that oppression is global and so must be our resistance. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mal Adams for Japan Journal, urging you to stand firm, speak truth, break the spell, and give power to the people who refuse to be lied to. Thank you. Please subscribe, share, comment, and donate to support our work here at Japan Journal. Thank you very much, and good day.
From GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Totown Communications Company Japan. Japan Journal. With Mal Adams. a Black Buddha Productions joint, of Japan.